Now this is the mystical experience. In 1980, I rented a little house in Santa Barbara to write a book on evolution. And I had been saying that the human race is evolving, and I'd begun to experience it, but I didn't know what to do with all that excitement. And I had a writer's block. And one day I gave up. I said, I can't do it, and I called up my sister and I said, let's go have some fun. So we headed out to the botanical gardens in Santa Barbara on a beautiful day. We were driving along until I saw a little sign that said Mount Calvary Monastery. And suddenly I felt an electric presence surround me, a field of force. I felt a very strong light. Now this was mystical. I had never experienced this before. Suddenly the tears were streaming down my face, and I said, Jacqueline, we're going to Mount Calvary. And we started to climb up the hill. And my sister is a good Jewish agnostic. She said, why are we going to Mount Calvary? I thought we were going to the botanical gardens. And I said, I don't know, Jacqueline, but I feel I've been here before. And I had this immense sense of expectation. And as I got to the top of the hill, I got out, and there was a little Episcopal monastery. I looked up, and off a higher mountain, a group of people were jumping off in a hang glider club in butterfly wings. And they were floating in these butterfly wings above Mount Calvary. Hundreds and hundreds of people. And suddenly, this electric field surrounded me, and I heard an inner voice that startled me with the words, my resurrection was real. I did it. And it is a forecast of what the human race will be able to do when they combine love of God with knowledge of how the universe works. And for the past 2,000 years, you have been learning how the world works. And when you finally fuse love and knowledge, you will be able to do the works that I did, and even greater works than these. Will you acknowledge this, Barbara? Will you acknowledge that every person on earth is to be a natural Christ? And I was totally startled. And I stood there in absolute silence, and I realized it was true. We are designed to become joint heirs with Christ. And I said, yes, I will, but I don't know how. And the inner voice said, did you know how to do puberty? Did you know how to be born? Did you know how to build a universe? You didn't know any of that. I know how to do it. You have to intend with all your heart and soul to act at your highest. And you are the generation, all of you, that is going to experience a change. So I was thrilled, and I went into the monastery. I knocked on the door and I said, I'm Barbara Hubbard, I'm a futurist, a seeker after God. Can I come in? And a priest in a white robe answered. He said, I'm Adam and I'm having lunch. Could you come back in 10 minutes? So I said, yes, I'll be back. And all existing institutions fall behind the seeker. So the next weekend I checked in for a silent retreat. And the next morning I was taking communion. And there was this magnificent ceremony. Take, eat this in remembrance of me. This is my body. This is my blood. And I thought, oh my God, it's true. We have been expecting to transform into a new being. And I suddenly saw that the biological revolution, the astronautic, the genetic revolution, the cybernetic revolution, all of evolutionary science, combined with the rise of consciousness, would in fact make us eventually have bodies that could live longer and could be self-healing. And I thought, maybe the whole story is true. And then I got the idea, go look at the predictive passages in the New Testament. So I went into the garden and got a New Testament, which I had not read. And I turned to Corinthians that says, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not sleep. We shall all be changed in the twinkling of an eye. This corruptible flesh will become incorruptible. Death shall have no dominion. And I began to write. Everything I ever learned started to pour out of me with those scriptural phrases. And I got the idea that the New and Old Testament is coded evolution. And that Jesus and those other great prophets had understood what we are going to become. I saw Jesus as our potential self. And the idea came through to me that Armageddon is what will happen if self-centeredness holds on, but that there is a new possibility on Earth because of the rapid rise of enlightenment on the planet. And they called it the planetary Pentecost. That we could now, there are enough people right now that if we all connected, all of us who know we are one and who love the world, if we all connected in consciousness, we could shift the consciousness of Earth, heal the wounds of separation, and carry out the design science revolution. And it said, Barbara, work with everybody else on Earth who believes we are one for a time when we connect and we all hear in our own inner voice the words, we are one. And that at that time, we will be surrounded by that loving presence that I had felt way back in 1966. So the mystical experience was an experience of a being that said to us, we can do the works that Jesus did. And I became deeply convinced that the Old and New Testament is a template of the future, and that we can acknowledge it and we can become heirs of God.